Inshallah. So you speaking about the Quran, what would you say? What are your thoughts on the preservation of the Quran?
You know what?
In,
I have got an angle, yeah, which usually I say has to be the starting point. Yeah.
Mhm.
There is an interesting verse in the Quran in Surah 15, Ayah 9. It tells us, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إنا نحن نزلنا الذكر وإنا له لحافظون. We have revealed this. We are going to protect it. Now, it is an odd situation here. Yeah.
Mhm.
If the Creator is telling us, the Creator revealed it, the Creator is going to protect it, here's a question that we would have to ask ourselves. If the Creator was going to do that, do we definitively need paper and ink?
No.
Logically, we wouldn't.
Yeah.
So when it comes to the preservation, the way we understand the word preservation, yes,
Mhm.
I take a different slant on it. For me, the evidence, the internal evidence of the Quran. Now, obviously, we aren't all huffaz,
Yeah.
okay? But the primary aspect that we consider in terms of preservation has been through memory.
Mhm.
Yeah? It
Yeah.
came down in that form and it has continued ever since. As
Yeah.
I usually tell my non-Muslim friends, I said, you know what? Uh, I'm sure in our discourse now we are going to talk about the word miracle. I said, if you want to see a living miracle, in the month of Ramadan, going to any masjid around the world. We aren't talking about just one, yeah, around the world. And you know what you are going to see? You are going to see an individual stood there reciting.
Yeah.
Not only that, you have got a bunch of individuals in the congregation who are intently listening and waiting. If the person makes an error, they will correct the error. I
Yeah.
mean, you can't get a better method of preservation than
I
that.
know.
You really can't. Yeah. If you think about it on a reasonable footing.
That's it. I think there's no other book out there at all
No,
that
no.
been.
But yeah, absolutely. Going to what you just said there, you mentioned the word book. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, the Prophet instituted that also. When he received the revelation and he understood it all, he called the writers and he said, look, write this down. Yeah.
Mm.
So today we have got a method of preservation that up to this day remains unparalleled. It's on a, and I'm saying this on a reasonable footing. It started with the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, and it has continued ever since. You are talking about a reading which can be memorized by 3, 4, 5-year-olds
Right.
without an issue. I
Yeah.
mean, look, in conversation, I don't like denigrating any groups or any individual. Yeah. But on an evidential basis, I was in a conversation with a particular individual, and I told him, I said, look, he was an atheist. I told him, I said, look, all you need to do is just give me 100 people who have memorized any other book.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then I said, okay, I think 100 is too many. 10. Just 10.
Yeah.
And this is going back about 4 or 5 years ago. The challenge was never met.
Mm.
Now,
Yeah.
it's like I was talking to a Christian friend, and he says to me, oh, I'm sure I can find a Christian. I said, no problem, find him. And once you have found him, you need to tell me which version he has used. Because I'm going to need to verify whether that version is an original version. Like I said, this is not to
Yeah.
denigrate them, but it is
Yeah.
a reality.
It's
Yeah.
true.
So, in terms of the preservation of the Quran, there is no book that can match the preservation of the Quran in the angle that I said. Yeah. For
Mhm.
me, the primary method of preservation was through memory.
Oh.
Now, yeah, you'll come across people who say, oh, no, no, the memory is not trustworthy enough. Oh, I agree with you. And that is why the challenge is there. try and produce something like it.
Yeah.
Not a problem at all. Yeah. Not only produce it and then try and memorize it. Let's see if you can do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. My view is that there is nothing that has been preserved like the Quran has. And when I say that, I mean it from the perspective of how it originally came down to the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. And subsequently, we know, inshallah, Allah willing, in 8 weeks, the process will begin again.
Yeah.
It will be the month of Ramadan, and every masjid in the world will begin the recitation process. I mean, look, any reasonable individual who is listening to us will not fail but to agree. Yeah, that there is something unique about this particular reading that is enabling 3-4-year-olds to memorize it.
Yeah,
there is something. It is something unique. Yeah, you know, one of the trends I noticed going back a few years was how our Christian friends started using the historicity of books. Yeah.
Yeah.
So he's telling me, oh, you know what? The Bible has got this historical aspect, that historical aspect, this. I said to him, I said, look, I don't mind what you are saying, okay? But I'm finding this odd. I said, I'll give you an example what I mean. If I ask you that this guy is saying history testifies to this particular book, the Bible, yeah? And I am saying to him, I don't have a problem with that, but do you not think we should be looking at the internal evidence as our primary basis? I mean, it is illogical to tell me that, look, everything, you know, what we call the supporting evidence is pointing to it, but the primary evidence has got major problems.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is illogical. So start off with the primary, then work towards the secondary evidence. So when it comes to the preservation of the Quran, the methodology that was employed, not only was it unique, it is unparalleled.
Yeah. Yeah.